Advance Notice with your host, Parks and ynoT.
We're recording now, and then we're going to get in onto this. This is a historic occasion, of course. This is the first episode, the premiere, if you will, of Advance Notice. We're not going to be talking about premiere, though. We're going to be talking about Advance, but of course, NA never sleeps, so there's always other things to talk about. You know, we've got a little bit of premiere, it's Challenger League now. We've got to talk about them. So always some stuff, maybe a little sprinkling of main coming through, and if there's any big news coming from the pro leagues, of course we're gonna have to touch on it. It's NA in its finest, of course. Yeah, it's inevitable. I am inevitable, some would say, as the NA giant starts to wake up a bit, maybe.
Yeah, true. Sleeping giants all across North America. We could bang things out with who we just saw playing right now before we head into advanced and previewing for the season. Like more recently, we just saw Complexity just start to frag out over at the Ulti series.
Yeah, happenings around the NA scene. Of course, got to talk about everything. So Complexity fragging out against Gambit, and then kind of just not against Ecstatic. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird. I feel like Wolfie has a bit of a number on the NA teams, or specifically that extra Salt core, just because he's played so much against them when he was in America playing. I believe he was playing for Recon 5 at the time, right?
Yeah, it had to have been. And it's kind of crazy because I don't know how much you got to catch from those games, but it seems that Junior had a really hard time in both of those matches to come out swinging. It's somebody who I think honestly was probably my biggest question mark. I didn't really have too much worry in Fang, Grim, or Floppy.
Yeah.
Floppy did phenomenally at that event all the way through. They only played 2 series, but he, as per usual, shows that he has what it takes to play against the best in a rifler role. But I think I need to see a lot more out of Junior, because if Ashiro is a name I can kind of understand taking the wind out of your sails, but I feel like against Wolfie, especially after all this this time that Junior has had to reflect on high level hopping, I feel like you shouldn't just get wrung out by Ecstatic's own Wolfie, you know?
Yeah, and I think part of that's just new team jitters. You definitely, if you're JT, you know how to use Floppy. You've used him plenty before. Grim is a plug-and-play kind of guy. At least that's what it seemed like coming in. And you've had, a year and a bit now to work with Fang. So,
yeah.
Two really strong players that you've worked with a lot is that core 3. And then Junior is that interesting case because he's replacing OC, where you don't exactly know how he's going to fill those spots, how he kind of, the little things that he does compared to what OC does. So
yeah, that's very true. They're very different aimers in style. They kind of take their fights based on different criteria a lot of the time. You'll see Junior a lot of the time take aggro fights, take fights that maybe you shouldn't as an opper, because he knows he can flick fast enough and probably hit the shot.
Yeah.
But the difference between that and OC is that OC was very slow and methodical about every peak, about every corner he would clear, about every angle he would take up. He was very, very cerebral about how he opted, I guess. Kind of like a Device, except with the capabilities now of doing what Device was doing 2 years ago. Not just posting up and taking 1 kill, but he'd take maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe even 4.
Yeah.
But Junior, I guess, is somebody that I think JT is going to have to learn how to use more aggressively. Almost as a piece to their puzzle, you know?
Yeah, that was always one of the things I know with Sheikh Zula, when originally on that Triumph roster, when Junior was really heating up, he was known just to be super aggressive. And it seems like when he went to Furia, they tried to pat that back, make him fit into their system. That didn't work. And then even when he came back to Sheikh on that Bad News Bears roster, it seemed like there was always a little bit of a tempered aggressiveness there. He was trying to be assertive in what he was trying to be aggressive in, but it just it kind of clashed. There wasn't ever really it wasn't aggressive enough, or it was too aggressive, and there was never really the balance that he was trying to find. So I think the consistency coming back there would be good. Something interesting that I see just looking at the HLTV matches, both those matches, he actually came out dead even. He went 59 and 59 against Gambit, and then Ecstatic, I believe he was 39 and 39. So he held his own at least, but yeah, the numbering on that was pretty sucky.
You can holding your own as an opper only brings you so far, I guess, kind of sort of a thing. Which is good to see that he can hang on just enough, right?
Yeah.
But to see that, like I said, Wolfie is the player who's beating you out in the number of op frags that you find on maps like Inferno and Nuke. Probably not your best, but there's a lot more time to come. There was no way we went into this event and said that this is the final set in stone complexity that we're going to see for the next year, So honestly, I think that's a pretty good showing.
Yeah, and it's exciting. Everybody on Twitter was excited from what I saw. Darth Mike was losing his mind, because you come into this and you're like, oh, they're facing off against Gambit. Don't expect anything. and they brought them to the brink and won on Vertigo, which was Gambit's map pick. They
Yeah.
brought it to double rounds on Ancient, which they looked really good in, and it just ended up being some kind of close rounds that they never really were able to get. Dust 2 was shaky. I always have that feeling with Dust 2, though, that it's not... You have to really know your team to be able to play Dust 2, I feel. And it's not there because that was their first match together, first official match.
Quite literally, it was just a Shiro show, in my opinion. Because when an Opper takes over a game, like Shiro has 91 ADR at the end of that matchup. Like, there's not really a whole lot you can do as a unit of complexity being found on every point of the map on every side, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's unfortunate. It really is. Because once Shiro's on one, like I can't say Junior go kill. Like it's your fault that Shiro's killing everyone. I can't really say that. So I think that honestly, it just comes down to the fact that he had a plus 38 across that series. That's actually crazy. Shiro's back, baby.
Shiro's back, and it was at the wrong time for us. we wanted complexity to come through.
Yeah, it was at the wrong time, wasn't it?
Yeah. The good news is that we'll be seeing them again next weekend on the 28th for that Blast premiere, because of course Complexity, I believe, holds a spot as a team for that league. So those Extra Salt boys get to go in and be like, "Hey, we're the Complexity team now. We're here for you." So it's looking really good for them. Moving on here, talking about other leagues. Stanislaw is back in Challenger for Season 40. He's playing on the team called Disconnect. That used to be the Detonate squad until a little bit of a breaking up of the band. I believe Delta 9 is still there. Silas, I saw him playing for a bit. And there's one other on that team that I wanted to say is still kind of kicking around.
Phantom is the name that I saw, but he's not listed.
No, it's not Phantom. It's Ghosty. Those are the three from that Detonate roster that have now moved on to Disconnect. Spermy was playing, and yes, Side Off is in there. So Phantom was allegedly supposed to join this lineup from being a benched player, or not a bench player, a sub for Chaco Check, and he has yet to pay up. And so they played their first match. I thought they played their first match. Turns out they didn't.
They played a game. They played a game.
Hasn't been updated on ESEA, and they won. No, sorry, they lost.
The league hasn't started yet. No.
Right. Was that Super League then?
No, they played in. Oh wait, they did play a game in Challenger already.
Yeah, because it was on. It was on the ESL channel. It's not updated on ESEA, but
And they played Choco Check themselves.
And they got 2-0. Choco Check 2-0.
Yeah, they got kind of clapped.
Yeah, it was looking all right until the second half of the first map, and then it was kind of like, this is.
Stanislaw and Ghosty, I had fun watching. Delta, I'm expecting a lot from Delta as a player, actually. I'm not sure if it's in this team. This team's kind of weird. I don't really like it. But I'm expecting good things from Delta. And if Stanislaw is your in-game leader and they can find like a better op fit in the near future, if this is a permanent plan, then maybe this could be something. Maybe, who knows?
Yeah, and
seemingly he's got some kind of faith in these players to keep playing with them for fun, right?
Yeah, or at least he's just trying to keep his game fitness, his game awareness up. But yeah, Delta 9 has always been one of those players that like you want them to succeed because you can see where it is, like where they're at. You're like, okay, I think you can hang at this level, and it just seems like the teams around him are always they're never up to par. I guess I don't know. He's had his own struggles for sure. That's why he's been in advance for so long. But with that Detonate squad specifically, it looked like they were really starting to click. And
Swan easily.
Swan is one of those guys. He came from that Intact lineup that beat Furia. That is the big claim to fame for Sheikh Zula when he initially came up. Big thing for Swan as well. And just he's been he toiled away in advance for a little bit. He got his chops. He was ready to go. Detonate got promoted, and then they didn't last. They dropped down, and now Swan's with Bad News Bears. So it's good to see that Delta 9 and Silas and Ghosty, or at least still have that core three, are still around together, it seems. I don't know what's going to happen with Phantom, because he still hasn't paid, like I said. I don't think he'll play. Spermy's an interesting one, because he is one of those guys that he played for a while collegiately as well as Advanced and Premier. I think a lot of it's just going to be on Stan to try and pull this together, figure out what the lineup should look like coming forward.
Yeah, I think it's really just a matter of figuring it out at this point. If they're doing it for fun, then you know what? Who are we to say no? I guess I don't think we're really in any position. Not even me and you. Who is anybody else to say anything about the team? I mean, I feel like if he just wants to play and have fun, then he could have gone to Valorant. He could have.
Yeah. There's always team offers.
Yeah. I think that this is good that Stanislaus sticking around at least. Maybe he does do something with these players. Maybe they have a breakout season that's crazy and cool, and then some team wants to pick them up. Fine, sure, yeah, whatever. All right. Yeah.
I think the success for them would be staying in Challenger.
Oh yeah.
I think
definitely.
that's a success. Like even if you're in the relegation tournament and you come out of that and you're still in Challenger another season, like that's a win.
Yeah.
Because even Detonate couldn't do that.
And they're definitely in the bracket of teams in this season that I would put at the bottom. So I mean,
Yeah.
it would probably be for the best if they stuck around. Like them, Eros, Valors definitely are a possibility to drop. Strife seem to be in a little bit of strife themselves. Not really
Yeah.
sure what's up with them right now. I mean, we're not. This isn't on the topic list, but I thought we may as well just talk about it real quick.
That's
They
yeah,
are
that is
missing
something.
Saturn now that he's gone to Orgulis
Mhm.
as a substitute player, and I think that they also just recently lost
Brett.
one of their other players, right?
Yeah, it was Brett.
So that leaves them with Slight, Joel's, Stamina, Austin's still on the roster, and Crisby. Crisby is their coach currently.
Right. That's an interesting one. I don't know what's happening with that.
Yeah.
I don't know where Brett has gone. I think did he go somewhere? Has he gone somewhere yet or no?
Don't think so.
Okay.
I'd have to
Yeah.
say no.
There's a little bit of a reunion happening between all the old Third Impact players on Triumph. Actually, that's happening now because Dangerous is there, Viz is there, Grape is
They've
there,
got
I believe. Yeah.
Arzu, Grape, and Exceed is the last. Yeah. and
Yeah,
Becker
it's
is the coach, and Becker was the coach of
Third Impact.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's funny, isn't it?
Third Impact went well. We're not doing well in advance. This isn't working.
Yeah. I
All
may as well. I would throw Brett in Triumph for one of these players. Honestly, like.
Yeah.
To be completely honest, I'd throw him in for Exceed or Arzu if the roles line up. Either way.
I think I keep Rezu. Rezu's been really good for Triumph. For
Yeah, he's just so inconsistent. Not inconsistent in the sense of like gameplay, but like he just doesn't want to play the guy. He
yeah.
just doesn't have the time. It seems like he doesn't want to be a pro. So if these guys want to be pro, and he's kind of holding the back a little bit on that front, then
Do you go to a 6-man roster? That's a question.
I mean, yeah, you could. You definitely could. I don't see why not. Strife was doing it before. So,
Yeah.
like I said, you could just swing that around again. Probably for the best. Arzu quite literally is this team's sixth man, if you think about it. Like it hasn't been said, but he has been their sixth man, like all throughout the last like year or 2 years now. It's like, oh, we don't have a player. Arzu steps in.
Yeah.
Oh, he's gone. Oh, Arzu's back, guys. We need Arzu. Like
It's another twice situation where it's minus plus minus plus minus plus.
Olaf Meister and
and Chris J and
yeah.
how many
Well,
other
like, I
players
think,
can you
yeah.
name?
That's good. But yeah, that pretty much sums up what we have for those three teams now. But
Yeah, I think there's one more important thing to talk about. We mentioned them earlier. Choco Check. This ruling came through earlier. At the end. Let me read from the thing. Unfortunately, at the end of ESEA League Season 39, Team Choco Check forfeited the finals of the Premier Division, where the winner advanced to ESL Pro League Conference. They were alerted as to the inability of players. I believe it was an issue with someone's internet, and somebody else, Exotic, was unavailable due to a family emergency. And one of the other players, I want to say was Carson, had already told his team that he was on vacation, so he wouldn't be available. It seems so weird to me that a team with like 5 substitutes can't put it together. Regardless of that, though, this ruling comes through, and as a result of the no-show, they are being stripped of their second place and are awarded the third place. So basically, the result of them beating Pain Gaming is null and void. Pain Gaming would have moved on to play Extra Salt, and would have gotten in this case they're simulated to get second place. So they lose out on all the prize money for getting second place, and they get the prize money for third place, which I believe was total like 1.1k per player, I think.
shouldn't Payne get the spot in conference now? Because there's no team in the conference for North America.
I believe so. I'm not sure. I do not know.
Surprised they didn't say anything about that, because the spot went to Extra Salt.
Yeah.
But Extra Salt is now Complexity. I don't think it works with organizations. I don't think Extra Salt can just field a lineup, as far as I'm aware, at least. Maybe they can.
It's so weird with ESL with some of those things, like especially with
Yeah.
the Louvre agreement, the Louvre agreement. Sorry, the Louvre agreement. There could be one of those things where, yeah, with that agreement though, I think Extra Salt might be able to just say, listen, we have a lineup coming through. our last lineup won it, but now their complexity. Like, what do we do in this situation? Maybe they look and go, well, it's DAPS. You know, I don't know what happens with that though. It truly is one of those things of like, what do we look and go? Well, Pain Gaming is now in second place. Now we move them up. Maybe this is something where ESL just looked and went, we don't want Choco Check.
Yeah. I wonder, I mean, this is all purely speculation.
Yeah.
I think maybe possibly Extra Salt was anticipating getting the spot with their new team. And then once they found that they weren't going to be just guaranteed the spot, that maybe that's why they backed out. It's not 100% sure that they fully backed out yet either. It's just that talks have stalled.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe it could be interesting.
That's also interesting considering where Extra Salt was with that Orgless squad. Like, it looked like it was going to be happening.
I thought it was done.
Yeah, everybody did. And then Rush is all of a sudden now an EG, and Extra Salt doesn't have a team right now. They want to be in the space.
Yeah.
Do they pick up one of the other Orgless organizations? Like, you've got 3 prominent Orgless organizations right now. You've got Orgless, which is the DAPS project. You've got Party Astronauts, who haven't had a home for a while. You've got Bad News Bears, who were formed as a result of not having a home. Like, you've got really good rosters kind of kicking around.
I'd buy Party Astronauts personally right now.
I would as well. I think they're the one to go for. They're in Pro League. Like, Extra Salt immediately Pro League. Like, I think that's good.
Well, Party Astronauts aren't in Pro League. But...
Yeah, they are. They won or was it the last time around? Last season.
I
believe they're in Pro League.
They are not.
Hold on. Did they already play in Pro League? They got the Pro League spot from winning the one season.
Dude,
am I losing it? Yeah, ESL Pro League season 15. Did that already happen?
Oh, 15 is the one that's coming up.
Ah.
See, okay, so hear me out. I've been bound. They have 17 announced already?
Yeah,
Season 17 is already on Wikipedia. Okay, so here I am thinking, if 17's on Wikipedia, then 16 surely is the one.
Yeah. No.
I guess it is.
The
Okay, yeah, then Party Astronauts. What the hell? This is stupid. Why? What?
Why are we looking at this? Like,
why is no team
Complexity, Party Astronauts, Liquid, Evil Geniuses. Those are the 4 American teams. They need to be signed. I don't understand why they haven't been signed. Bad News Bears, if they can get their stuff together here.
Bad News Bears, yeah, I think that one's a little bit.
It's a bit more controversial. It's because they haven't been in Pro League in a while and they've had a lot of roster shifting. But
a lot of it, yeah.
Sheikh Zula as a leader, if you're like a C9 and you want to just have like an academy team, like what Gambit did, they had Gambit youngsters. They didn't have they never had a top team. They just had Gambit youngsters, and then eventually it was like, well, I guess we're gonna keep them all and we're gonna call them Gambit. They're just gonna lose the youngsters moniker because they're experienced now. Some team, some organization is gonna look at Sheikh Zula and be like, build your roster, we've got the money, and academy roster right there. And when they get better, or if they're looking to push him up, go for it, because he is a really good IGL. He's proved it at this point. That's really it for what's happening around the NA scene, though, I think.
In terms of the introduction into Advanced is all we have left going. We've got a preview, so to speak, I guess.
Yeah.
In terms of the teams that we have to talk about, well, at least relative to last season, anyway. So we talk about the teams that had made the finals of last season of Maine, also actually to make Advanced for this upcoming season.
Yeah.
That's something we can
talk about. Some Rectify, some Revel. That's now dead.
More or less, it lives on under a new name.
Yeah.
So
no
speak,
organization pending on
maybe
that
not
one.
a spiritual. I guess a spiritual successor.
It's not. Is it spiritual though?
Yeah,
when
no, I don't really
when
know.
you mutiny the spirit out of that team.
Yeah. Either way, we do have a timeline to break down for you.
We'll come back to that one for sure.
Yeah. Breakdown, but like we were saying,
54 teams in Advanced. Not all of them have paid up yet, but this season is going to be starting quite soon. I believe the 24th is the first official day. 25th is the first day of the season. So.
Right. Yeah, and then in season 39, we had names like X13 who've moved on to greener pastures now. I think they're in Challenger.
They're in Challenger, yeah. They were pushed up to Challenger.
Yeah, Third Impact sticks around, I think.
No, that team I believe is
the core of Third Impact. No.
It's
oh, no, that
JoJo.
absolutely
That absolutely blew up. Yeah, it's JoJo kind of content team now. I believe Ajax and Insane are staying just to keep the roster going.
Yeah, they're good players. And
They
have
are good
members in
players.
fifth. This is a good team. Wow.
It's a good team, but they're not taking it seriously, right? They're not.
Right.
The plan is not, especially with Calyx on your team, your plan is not to win. Your plan is to
Yeah.
just kind of grind out teams, and you'll win matches. Like,
Yeah,
don't get me
you'll
wrong,
win matches.
you're gonna win matches with this
Damn
lineup.
right.
But the objective is not to get into Challenger. It's like almost the opposite. Like get into playoffs
Get as
and
far
then
as you can without going. into
without
challenge.
without going into Challenger, because as soon as you get into Challenger, you lose Calyx. Insane is not in that type of space right now. He wants to just play. He wants to have fun with it, because he was going to take a break before this happened, and only recently when he came back he didn't even come back. Jojo asked him to come back so he could hold the roster, because Dangerous is gone, and then Ajax was planning on leaving as well. I believe now Ajax is in the squad. I'm guessing any of the trials he was going for have kind of fallen through. So, but they're here, so why not use the spot, right?
Yeah, I don't blame them. Yeah, I don't blame them at all. We got Valors. They made their way up into Challenger last season, like we were talking about a moment ago.
Yeah, and then the
Kinship
roster
sticking around.
completely blew up because of Calyx not being
Yeah.
able to stay. Complete roster shuffle.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just-
Cherry hasn't changed at all. Cherry is the same. That's one team that hasn't changed.
I believe they're using a sub for the first few matches, unless that was for a cash cup.
Oh, I'm not sure. But,
There was something
I-
with that. The only
have a
change I
friend
can think of
that's
was GK not being on that
Right,
squad anymore.
Cube is now their coach, I think,
Yeah.
right?
That seems to be their move. Is like, we're a good 5, so we're gonna stick together. But our coach, we need a bit of a different change there.
Need a change of scenery.
Yeah.
Something more Turkish, perhaps. I have a friend from that team. The
You
only
do?
non-Turk, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
At least one of the two. I think one of them might not be Turkish other than him. But yeah, he's a good friend of mine. And I was like, you guys keeping the same team? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, bullshit. No team
Yeah.
keeps the same team. Season of advance. No way. But yeah, they are doing that. Kinship the same. Brazen. I think they're looking to make a change or two in some capacity. I think they at least wanted a coach.
Yeah.
But for the main, they're pretty good friends, I think. Like
That
vibe,
that
right?
roster, especially like you look at like Soul Goat's on that roster, and Soul Goat is one of those guys who is more of like a reporter kind of person, you know. He's not
more of a-
fully
yeah.
focused on the player side. He's more on the background, but the roster does well, and he's a good player. So keep going together.
He does do well. Yeah, and then we rip down the list. Levitate. That's the team that I'm working with this season a little bit more closely, and we've got an update article coming out, so I know all the ins and outs. Jermaine.
Ooh.
It's not really much. Jermaine's joined over Farrell. I think that's a pretty good move, personally. I think that Farrell definitely has his perks to a team and brings a lot to a team inside and out, from what I've heard. I think he's got an okay enough personality to stick around, and I think he's got a good dedication to the game, but I think Jermaine is just like a superstar, stellar pickup for this team. Because, like, even though the frags might not be exponentially more than Farrell's were, I think that just the hunger and the drive and maybe a slightly better individual in pound for pound, in my opinion, will do them a lot of good.
Right.
And that's I guess that was really all we have to say on that one. I really banged that one out.
Yeah,
Davenport.
Limitless. Oh, Davenport.
Yeah.
Davenport is going to be doing things this year, or at least this year,
Yeah.
this season for sure. I think they've got. It won't be so good.
Same four, right? Same four.
I
and
believe
then
so.
they're
Arcade
adding-
is gone.
I don't
Was it
know who their
Arcade?
new guy is. Yeah, I don't know who their new guy is though.
Let's just quickly see. Kojimo, Pug.
Nart is a good player that I'm just unfamiliar with. They got GK, obviously.
Yeah,
GK
GK is coaching now, as well as Koi. So Limitless are a newer team coming back in. Originally, this was going to be Green Tea Party, I believe. They got signed. Mills, Sezi, Mirth, Sluggy, and they do need a fifth. I believe News was going to be that man. He's not on the roster currently, though. They need someone else for the roster spot, I believe. And Automatic was going to be on this roster now. He's taken a step back for personal reasons. But if they can find a fifth for that, they're looking... Atomic, sorry.
An Automatic. I was like, okay.
No, we're fine. Atomic, sorry. That roster looks really good, though. Like, you have Sezi and Sluggy as your two recent premier or challenger level players.
Right.
Mills was up there. Atomic was up there. Now he's taking a step back. Who will they fill with? I don't know much about Mirth. Yeah. I don't know much about Mirth.
I don't know anything about Mirth. Poor guy. I'm gonna
But
follow him on Twitter right now, though. I know that.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
pal.
Well, I see these guys making playoffs though for sure.
Yeah.
That's probably the goal is playoffs bare minimum. Anything else from there is just kind of you want to make a deeper run,
Yeah.
potentially go into that relegation tournament.
Supposedly they're looking for an entry player for their last.
Yeah, I could see that. You're filling Atomic's spot, so
Yeah.
what do you need?
Yeah. I thought it was really good to have him in a rifler role and not an opping role for this season.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it was on entry, I thought he was a pretty good entry. But I don't know. It's really weird the position that they find themselves in now. Figuring that out, I guess, because
Yeah.
not having an opper in-game leader turn entry fragger doing your entry frag, your follow-up voice in the team. You know, who's your secondary opper in the team now? Who is your obviously entry fragger? A lot of questions.
Who takes over these roles that you were gonna do all yourself?
Yeah. Very interesting. Well, we'll probably figure it out though as we move on to Davenport. Probably see them do big things this year. 4 of them sticking around. One of them they have to find a new replacement for. It was Arcade, right?
Yeah, Arcade. They haven't announced the next player yet.
Yeah.
But
They got a coach.
definitely, they've got 2 coaches. You got GK and Koi. Koi splitting his time between EU and the NA boys. So that's, I believe, why they brought GK in, was because they realized he's young. We can work with him. We can train him up. He's basically apprenticing under Koi to learn the tricks of the trade, to then move on to potentially coach them full time as his thing, or to move on to other teams to show them his coaching chops there. Even maybe EU jobs, because that's what Koi's doing right now. He's between EU and NA, and that's why they took the 2, right?
Surely, yeah. I'd have to assume. Probably very hard struck between both teams to figure out something consistent enough. But he can always just give work to GK if he wants that, and they can work with GK on a more one-on-one level.
Yeah.
When Koi isn't available.
No, exactly.
Touchpoint Gaming, they're sticking around. Same team: Flixie, Poseidon, Escape, Beastman, Tix, and their coach Cooper Trooper. Not much to say about them. They've been around for a minute now.
Yeah.
Kind of just been doing their own thing. They're not really ever a bad team. They've been consistently in advanced since season 34. So the one thing that they do have to worry about now going into next season from here is this 5-man going to get you out of advanced, or is it something you need to look into something different for? Because their record has gone from 6-10 to 10-6 to 10-6 again to 10-6 again, and now last season being 39, they had 9-5. 38, they were at 8-6. So if trajectory is anything to go off of, this isn't really a project that's going very high and up into the sky.
Yeah.
In terms of this 5.
The biggest issue has been deep playoff runs. Like 1 win in the playoffs, 2 losses, you're out, you're done. Mm-hmm. It's lower bracket run or nothing, and there was no chance for them here. So they need to find that form in postseason, because I'm a hockey guy. You look at hockey, everything is different in the playoffs. Everything is called differently in the playoffs. It's just you need to find that next gear to push forward. I support Touchpoint. Like there's a reason they stuck around with this core. I don't know what happens to them if they don't. Like major shakeup, maybe.
They did make playoffs last season for the first season in their entire advanced career, but I mean, also asterisk, it's 14 game season and not a 16 game season, right?
Yeah.
So you can't really put 100% stock into that, I guess. Moving forwards, like I said, though, I mean, they have a good formula to figure everything out. No player is really an outlier weak player in this roster.
Yeah.
I don't really have a player that I can point to and be like, he needs to figure it out.
We don't want to finger point too much, but...
No, well, not yet. We'll have some...
Not yet. We'll be finger pointing a little bit later, for sure.
We'll just shift into our last of the teams to highlight, I guess, for this upcoming season that I wanted to talk about, and that's In Control. In Control is the team that Davenport's Arcade went to.
There he is.
Season. Yeah, it's he and Drew, who's been around for quite some time. I feel like
right.
that name has been up and down. Strider, Protomo, 2 names that I know only one of, even remotely, to be honest, but I've heard only good things from Strider. So I'm going to hope that I know my stuff when it comes to my secondhand information. And then Spec, a player that I've seen that I think is pretty good also. I think that this team has a really good comp, but the only issue is I don't know this team well enough to know about leadership, but I think that it's going to need a lot of it. Like, not just in-game leadership tactics, like a captain, you know?
Yeah.
Definitely a captain. And they have a sub, too. That's always good to have.
Right.
But yeah, that
That's
basically wraps up all of Advanced.
that's the big advanced teams that we're kind of keeping our eyes on for sure, and that'll update as the season goes along, of course. And we're doing this every 2 weeks, so there's gonna be some movement. There's gonna be some friction kind of coming through as happens, which is always great to see. One team we didn't really talk about, but we're gonna mention them a bit here real quick. Rectify. They are the winners of Maine. Yeah, we mentioned earlier they won Maine. One of the players we actually wanted to mention was Waddle. He's our player profile of this episode. We're going to try and do one every episode. We're going to mention a player who's either moved up or he's showing significant growth in advance, somebody that you might want to keep around because they might be in Challenger sooner than you think. Waddle is an opper, plays for Rectify right now.
Yeah, he plays for Rectify as we speak. He's been in Open he was, in Open for about 7 seasons, from seasons 28 to 35. Then he joins Rectify, and the guy begins to just absolutely smash through everything. They made Open to Intermediate, first try, Intermediate to Main, first try, and now after a couple of bashing at the wall for the same couple of seasons with the same couple of players and the same team, it all pays off. They make advance. They qualify through Main Finals, beating Revel, as we were mentioning earlier on. And that's a really big achievement for any team to make it into advanced. Honestly, quite personally, I think that it would mean a lot more than maybe even making Challenger at that point. Because breaking that threshold is something that takes a lot longer as a main team.
Yeah.
Into advanced, in my opinion, personally, than a team who is in Premier breaking out. No, I'm sorry, in advance going out into Premier. Yeah.
Yeah, into Challenger.
I don't want to say it's easier, but relative to where you're coming from, it probably is if you really are all that. If you're all the hype or the words being spoken about you, you know.
And it speaks to the quality of they were one of the lower seeds in the main playoffs, and they completely destroyed, ran through, and got all the way to the final. I think they had to do a lower bracket run, if I'm not so wrong. They had to do a little bit of a lower bracket run, and just to get to the grand finals, and then they just completely slaughtered Revel, who we're going to talk about in a second, because that's quite a situation. But yeah, Waddle he's definitely a guy to look out for, and I think it's good to see that there's a lot more oppers kind of pushing their way forward. I know Kojimo on Davenport's the guy that you always get a lot of talk about.
Minus just did it basically through the last couple of seasons.
Like, yeah, there you go.
Himself.
If you're good, your name is going to push up quickly because the op is so important to every single team.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah.
So you're almost always guaranteed a spot on a team if you are a good main opper.
A good main opper. All those words in that sentence are very important because I feel like not a lot of people hear all of them. Good
yeah.
Main, primary, first opper, not somebody who can pick the gun up.
Oh yeah, we're losing 12-3. I'm just gonna, when I get my first chance, I think I'm gonna T-side up, guys. I got this. No, yeah. That is your thing. You're not OC. You're not I can do both. Yeah. You gotta think closer towards like Flom.
What the hell?
What do you mean? OC's rifle stats, I will just say OC's rifle stats are credible, and he broke any kind of counting system that really? I could come. Yes. A few seasons ago when I ran a fantasy league, we actually had to nerf some of the stats because OC was just...
Right.
He broke them, no matter what.
That league. I didn't play in it for more than like a day.
Yeah, nobody did. That thing died. We don't need to talk about it. We'll figure it out.
The Advanced Notice Fantasy.
The Advanced Notice Fantasy League.
On that one. Don't steal that.
We'll come back to it. Yeah, it's ours. We were just talking about them a second ago, though. Revel Implosion. It's something. It kicked off quite quickly. The timeline, at least from what I talked to Reaper about it, because that was the main man who I had a chance to talk to about this. We talked for quite a while. It was like a 20-minute conversation about the timeline of this. And I think a little bit of it starts with Severe and his trash talk gone too far against Michigan State's CS team in the playoffs. Do you want me to go through this all?
Yeah, I mean you seem to have it all. Yeah, I can interject anything else that I have on the side at the end. But
yeah, I know for sure. So this conflict happens, of course, between Severe, and it blows up on Twitter because it was over the line. Everybody recognized it was over the line, including Severe. And Jackro took it very seriously because he is the org owner of Revel, and he is also a player on Revel. So it's a big thing for him because he's the one getting a lot of flack from this. And that just kind of contributes to some animosity. And one of the things that he said in his tweet longer was, we are going to evaluate Severe on this roster, and moving forward, we'll figure something out. So, season's coming around. We're about a week and a half away. It is just a few days ago, I want to say. It's like the 12th, that kind of area. We're before the big blow up. And they basically have come to the decision, we are going to get rid of Severe. Or Jack Rowe has said, I'm looking to replace Severe, who is our opper, because of these personality conflicts I'm having with him and his conduct within the organization. So at this point, Reaper and Severe are core 2. They like to stick together. Kraken and Jack Rowe are 2. They like to stick together. Motionless, I believe his name is. Hold on. Let me make sure I get the name right. I'm just going to quickly pull up their roster. The 5th person on this team, though... Nublis. Yes, sorry. Nublis. He is more of, I just want to play. I don't care who we have on the team. I'm here on this roster. I'm staying here. Like, this is the roster I want to be on. I don't care who I'm playing with, as long as a few of the people are around, are the ones that we went and got second place in main with. So, Kraken goes to Reaper and says, listen, Jack Rowe is going to get rid of Severe. And he is still willing to play as a 5 with the new person that we pick up. He's not trying to get rid of you both. He's just trying to get rid of Severe because of these issues that we had. And initially Reaper's like, sure, it sounds all right. I understand. Cool with it. Okay. And Severe was cool with it. He's off the roster. Reaper then, during the weekend, comes back kind of thinking about it and is like, you know what? I can't do this. Because now he knows that Nova's the one coming in. And he said it was a personality clash in terms of what I was looking for to what Nova could bring to the team. So Reaper, Severe as a player, he says, is very aggressive, very outspoken, very motivating. Like, come on, we need to get this done. We're a team together. Whereas Nova is more quiet, more laid back, kind of. I wouldn't say laid back. He's more quiet. He's more reserved to himself because as a character, that's just who he is. So Reaper was worried that he was missing out on the character that Severe could bring, and as a result, he wanted to bring Severe back. The issue became that Jack Rowe was in no terms did not want to play with Severe. So Reaper talked to Kraken, who, friends with both of these guys, could go either way, and Kraken decides he is on board with the idea of the mutiny. He's going to go for it. They're fine. So this is around the 17th, 18th now. They're going to do it, and they need... And then Kraken, I believe... Something happened where Kraken all of a sudden was now not in the picture anymore. I believe it was he wanted to keep Jack Rowe around. Like, he wanted to play with Jack Rowe. He just wanted to...
I think
Kraken's idea.
What it all boils down to at the end of the day, I'm not going to cut off the story entirely.
No, go for it.
What I'm getting basically is that Jack Rowe wanted to play with everyone but Severe, and everyone wanted to play with everyone, including Severe. And what it came down to at the end of the day was Jack Rowe wasn't budging, and it was a matter of, okay, well, are we going to stick with Jack Rowe, or are we not going to stick with Jack Rowe? And Kraken chose his way, and the other players kind of just chose their way.
Yeah, and Nova is the man coming in on this, coming from the Unjustified squad. He was going to do a rebuild. He was going to do a rebuild with Unjustified. I was just talking to him today. He's not sure if that's still possible. He's trialing around on advanced teams. This close to the season, though, he said, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be getting on a team. Because trials are starting to finish up, right? People are trying to have their 5 together. But regardless, yes, on the 19th, what they ended up doing was they brought in Awaken, who I believe Reaper had told me he had just crossed the line on how many he needed to be on the roster and still active because he was gone mid-season. He played 32% of the games. You need 30% for him to be someone who can actively help in a mutiny. So it was close. It cut close. If he played one less match, this wouldn't have happened. At least with Awaken helping. So what ended up happening is now, so they cut Jack Rowe. Kraken was cut alongside Jack Rowe. Nova, who had just joined the team, was now gone. All 3 of those guys had no idea this was happening. Reaper and Severe kept along with Nublis. They added Core, and they've added Awake back. So those 5 are going to be playing this season out. And basically what they said to me is, we're just here to play. we're gonna try and keep it advanced. We're gonna hold this spot, and we're gonna show that this happened. It happens though. We're just gonna play. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna be completely honest though. I mean, mutiny aside, morals, ethics, whatever you want to say aside, this team's banging. This new team that they put together with the mutiny is banging. I don't know who the in-game leader is, but
Yeah. And I think it's Reaper. Reaper is, I believe, the in-game leader, because that was why it was his big decision was, I want my team. And that's what he went with. And that's exactly what he's saying. He's like, yeah, I understand that there's some person, like, people have issues with some of the players on these teams. Like, Severe does take things too far. They have another guy who is known in main. I don't remember who he said it was. He said that the guy that he has been, like, hard stuck main, and he never gets any opportunities in advance because he has this reputation about him. But Reaper's going to take a chance on him because
I think it's core, right?
I believe it's core. And just like there's known people that, like, I know these, like, I know there's some reputation issues. It's like the advanced,
so stacked.
It's like the advanced version of Choco Check, where there are problematic people, at least in terms of the eyes of Twitter and other people and other kind of big names. They're a problem in the eyes of the people around the scene, but the roster itself is still really good.
This actually reminds me of a team that didn't even get to play. It's the 100 Thieves roster that they signed. Back, where it was like Kenny, KNG.
It was
FNX,
you just came,
Lucas,
you came
like,
second place, and now you're signed to 100 Thieves.
This team's sick. I was like, this team's so banging, but they're all just like absolute assholes apparently. That's what everyone else is saying. I'm not. That's not my own words, but
KNG, I will kill you, FNS. Like, not to bring it back.
They're
They're great players.
players.
They came second at a major with
FNX
Immortals.
was still hot and good. He wasn't bad at that point. Like he just came. I think he was playing with Immortals all of a year before that even happened.
They were banging, and
But, like, whatever, I don't really...
they just nothing happened as a result of it. So yeah, that is the implosion of Revel. Currently, as it stands, I believe last I talked to Nova, like I said before, he's still trialing advanced teams to try and get in there.
Right now,
Yeah.
they all have LFT things.
He says, I think both Kraken and Jackro have some plans going for them, though, if you want to touch bases with them for a more happier conclusion. I believe talking to Matt about this, Big and Tall Matt, he is the owner of LCA, one of the owners of LCA. He's talking to Jackro, and I believe there's something coming along where if Jackro gets on a team, there are organizations that will just, they'll pay that roster. Like, they'll represent that roster. Just because Jackro is a character, they like him. So there is something with that, which is really good to see. I'm excited to see where all these players go. I'm interested to see what happens to this roster. You said it's a banging roster, so there's always going to be something coming of that. Speaking of rosters, though, we've got another mainstay of an episode. It is Cringe Control, and why not? Take it away, man.
Dude, wow, really? Right now?
Yeah, right now. We're doing this.
Jumped right over your segment.
We're gonna wrap up with my segment because I think it's a good segment to wrap up with.
All right. So basically, what this segment is hopefully maybe at some point we'll have graphics on the screen. Maybe not for this episode. It's a little bit too far in advance.
Yeah. It's advance notice.
Maybe eventually I'll start banging up some graphics for it. But essentially what Cringe Control is that I come up with a team that has my own limitations that I have set for myself with a name and a theme. And you guys, being the audience, can rate it for yourselves. But I guess for this episode, having no guest, it will be Parks.
It is me.
My team out of 10? What are we thinking out of 10?
We'll do it out of 10. 10 gives you a bit more play than 5 would.
Yeah, because probably if it was at a 5, it'd probably be a lot closer to like 3 and 2. Because there's no middle ground. But what I call this team currently today is Operation No Org. It is specifically placed in Challenger.
Okay.
A little bit higher than what we're usually banging out towards, but it's specifically placed for Challenger. So here's the team.
Yep.
And here are the roles also. So we're going to go down the list. As you can see on the screen, Parks, but no
yeah,
one else
I can see it.
First player is Minus. Not really a hard pick. Very easily sought after AWP player already. You can see if a name like Daps wants him, he wants to lock down an NA op fast, which is probably for the best. And I don't think that that's a bad call at all. I don't think there's a better player that I could have picked. I don't think that Pwn alone has the longevity that I'm looking for. I don't think that any other team in the scene has an opera that's experienced, quote-unquote, enough
in
terms of playing against better teams and doing well. So Minus is definitely my number 1 pick for that.
All
Number
right.
2, we've got Spongy. Spongy is probably the most underrated player on this team, and quite possibly the most underrated out of any of the Orgless teams looking to be salaried, in my opinion. Because if I can't get a rush, then I want Spongy. Because I know that Spongy might not be a hard entry, but I know that he'll fill in any gaps that I need on a team. He listens to... I almost spoiled something. He listens to the in-game leader of his teams very well. He seems to have a very good chemistry and a very good long-standing history with these teammates, so I feel like it could be a solid one. And I guess moving on past Spongy, it only makes sense that I reveal Sheikh Zula as the next player. In-game leader, best in the league in my opinion. I don't think that's really arguable. I think for most people's money, other than Stanislaw, but I guess I was a little bit hesitant to pick him, seeing as his new little project has its own.
It has its own little things there.
Next, using up the 2 out of 5 for Bad News Bears already, I'm going to do the same for Orgless, and I'm going to pick Swisher. He's going to be this team's entry fragger, numero uno.
Okay.
The primary entry fragger for this team. Honestly, pretty bare bones, simple, straight to it. There's not really a whole lot that needs to be said. Swisher's done it before. He's done it well.
Yeah.
He's great in the role. Obviously, Janji was doing it for him a lot during the time, if not all of the time, that they were together in Bad News Bears for. But Swisher had done it time and time again in his old teams to the same success. Everyone was looking at this guy since like 2018, to be honest. Like, this isn't a new player by most means in North America, at least. So that's definitely the player that I would pick for that spot. And last but not least, the odd man out, the one who is not on any of the teams that I've mentioned already. Oh wait, where did I write him? Do I even have him written down?
Uh-oh.
No, I'm just kidding. Cynic is my 5th player pick for this team. You needed a star rifler. You needed somebody who could really bang out with numbers in that role. You already have your entry fragger who puts up good numbers in Swisher. Minus is there to fill in the gaps with the op. Spongy does it with a rifle. Sheikh Zula can really do anything he wants around the map. He's usually not a very aggressive rifler on CTNT side. But I think having Cynic gives you a really good balance of a player who can do a lot of different things. His second op on CT sides will bring a lot to your team. His calling apparently is pretty decent from what I've heard, and he's definitely a pretty vocal point of a team when they need it. And I think that he's honestly just like North America's next. Like, this guy I'm looking at, and I feel like not a lot of other people are. And to see him without an organization is just absolutely baffling to me, man.
Yeah, somebody please sign Party Astronauts.
Somebody please sign Party Astronauts. Yeah. There is an alternative to the team that I just spat at you, which would be to replace Spongy with Janji, and then just have players fill in gaps, because you suffer firepower for roles, I guess. So now you get more firepower and a little less role, which might be a not such a bad thing in North America, especially with Sheikh Zula as your leader. So I think I'm going to edit it. I think the final team is going to be Sheikh Zula, Minus, Swisher, Janji, and Cynic. I think that is going to be my final team.
You know what's so crazy about this, though, is this is basically a Bad News Bears core.
With no junior.
With
Minus instead of junior.
With Minus instead of junior, and then you're adding in Cynic from Party Astronauts to kind of fill that role that you need in terms of a rifler. Yeah. It's I almost like it with Spongy more than Janji. But
the gamble, I guess, in my head is that Sheikh Zula does all of the shitty roles now that he kind of doesn't have much of a, he kind of just has to be like, all right, guys, you want to be the best? You want to get a fucking org? Then I guess
I gotta do everything, boys. Yeah. I'll throw the flashes and the smokes.
That's our one allowed F-bomb for the entire of the advanced notice.
Entire advanced notice.
Sorry, guys.
Out of 10.
Yep, out of 10.
Ooh. 6. I'm gonna give it a 6.
Really?
Yeah.
What could I have done better with those?
I like Spongy more than Janji.
I took it down 4 points.
No, it took it down. It took it down 2, maybe.
Damn. I see what this is going into. Cringe control is now just an outlet for party shit.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's not the best.
I think one of the biggest issues I have is Janji in terms of him as a player. Something that was mentioned a lot was a little bit of a personality clash, but also their T sides with him were very stale apparently, because some teams kind of clued in that wherever Janji is where the attack is going to go. So if you can innovate on that, and it's not just where Janji is at your hard entry, then I can see something with this. Because again, you're talking firepower is really good. That's why they're here. They're definitely going to make playoffs. This is a playoff team.
I didn't have Spongy. I'm sorry, I didn't have John G in the team initially. I'm realizing now because I forgot that he has internal issues with some of those players.
So if it is with Spongy, I see it with an 8 then. Yeah, I see this as an 8. This is a deep run Bad News Bears team. Like Minus is an up and coming. Cynic is just god at this point in terms of his fragging ability. So and he was always like highly touted when he was basically carrying Triumph at some point. That's why Party Astronauts picked him up. So it's a good roster. I like it.
He did everything. He in-game led, he opted entry dealer. He did everything.
He did everything. All right. So we are on to the last bit of the podcast. We only have a few minutes left. We're going to kind of quickly go through this. It's not too long of a topic, but it is an important segment. It is called Things I Think I Think. And you are hearing me correctly. I am saying I think twice. Things I think I think. It's basically something that I'm kind of sitting here on my desk and I'm like, maybe this should be a thing. Usually I leave it away from rosters because, of course, that is Tony's bread and butter with cringe control. Today's topic.
I honestly have no idea what's coming, by the way. I'm just in.
Yeah, it's usually just kind of something off the cuff, I think, before the podcast starts. Today's is the Women's Cash Cup. Should be the same format as the original Cash Cup, the Fragadelphia times ESEA Cash Cup, which is group style. So you have your first match. If you lose, you play a lower bracket. If you win, you play the winners, and 2 teams from each of those groups makes it out. And the whole idea behind it is just to get more matches in. So for a little bit of context here, the Women's Cash Cup, they just had their first one a few weeks ago. It was last weekend. They played, and there was 11 teams, 10 legitimate teams. There was actually a German team, I think. It was a European team. For some reason, they were in the NA bracket and got disqualified, which was kind of funny. After winning the half 12-3, he got disqualified halfway through the match. But it's single bracket. It's if you lose, you're done. And I think that the style that the normal Cash Cup has of group style, having groups of 4 teams kind of going off, and then the 2 teams to make it through move on to the single elimination bracket, I think that'd be really good for them. It guarantees you more matches. It guarantees more experience, therefore, for playing higher level competition for those teams. And it lengthens the cup. Because that was one thing. The entire cup, bar the finals, was done day 1. Because there weren't enough teams, right? It was 11, between 8 and 16 teams. Every match happens on day 1, and then only the finals happen on day 2. Which is still only a BO3. Like the semifinals are. So with the number, if we're going consistently here, if we have 16 teams going into this bracket, all the matches are done day 1, and then your finals, you're coming back, you're a little bit cold, you're coming in on day 2. Whereas with the group style play, you can do everything, all the group stuff day 1, and then day 2 can be the bracket, or a bit of the bracket is done day 1 as well. But you have at least the semifinals and the finals on day 2, like in the regular Cash Cup that everybody else plays.
I have literally no idea about any of this. 100% straight. If there's anything in this entire list that I have no expertise or knowledge on, it would be the Women's Cash Cup and everything surrounding it. So I think you pretty much encompass everything that needed to be
said
about the situation.
And
those are things that you think.
This is what I think. I think.
You should end it by saying, "I think."
I think. Yeah. I think that's good. I think.
Yeah.
I think.
You think those things too, so you must be right.
I must be right. I think them. Therefore, they are.
They are. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, therefore it is. And
therefore it is.
Pretty much bring the end to our first episode. We've got everything on wraps. We've got the Mythic Cash Cup going on as we speak. Just, I guess, a quick little update with that.
Yeah.
Who might be wondering, maybe watching this episode, oh, I didn't know that.
Huh. That's when they record, on a Saturday. Yeah. Hi.
Now you guys know. There's
time to change the day.
We've got basically mixed teams all throughout. X13, ATK with a couple of players mixed in. ATK has a couple of interesting things coming up, so watch out for that.
Yeah.
I also have an interview with Mistim that I'm working on, hopefully to be posted sooner.
Yeah, you need to plug some things. We got some content coming out. This is an LCA podcast.
All right, let me go first.
Let's go.
Why not FPS over on Twitter? You can take a look over at that. Why not 1009 on Twitch? I will be posting content soon enough for both of those things. And casting's coming up again soon, so keep your eye out for that. LCA, they're the hire of both of us.
Yeah.
Obviously, one of the main producer helps of this entire thing. Big and tall Matt, thank you. So
I cannot wait to have my polo shirt.
Yeah, me neither.
That's something that I want to have. At least for me, Parks2214 on pretty much all the platforms. I'm great like that. I secured myself all the same URLs. This is my main thing. I'm actually not going to be casting this season. I got too busy with school. But content creation is going to be a main thing. So I'm still going to be doing the Cash Cup, the Women's Cash Cup at least, because I want to show them up. That's going to be a huge thing for LCA, by the way. I was talking to Menakage and Ping. And Deprive. We're all looking to try and do a huge thing for the Women's Cash Cup side, or at least Women's CS in general. So that's a huge thing.
Yeah, I'm a sexist, so I'm not doing that, I guess. Sorry,
Yeah, what a horrible person.
I'm not involved.
You're too busy with your future projects that'll come out soon.
Yeah, I've got so many of them. Oh, we do have one that we have in the works, hopefully sooner.
We'll get an announcement trailer.
Cool,
Hopefully.
we'll have an announcement for it, yeah.
Announcements will be coming, and this will be out every 2 weeks, hopefully, depending on the editing. And we'll also be having guests coming along. That's something that we haven't mentioned at all. There will be guests. We're not going to be talking just the two of us. I think we'd get lonely.
At all different levels, guests. I'm trying to land some people a little higher than maybe budget. So
budget, yeah. The budget is a coffee, maybe.
Yeah,
if they're lucky.
I don't have it. No, there's no budget for me to get.
There's
coffee.
no
Why would there be
budget.
a budget for
We
us to
don't
get
have a
guests
budget.
coffee?
The
Yeah,
budget
that's
the
what I'm saying.
budget went into my picture
Yeah, the
that I
budget
paid
went
for
into my-
myself. That was my budget.
into my
Captain American shield.
Captain American budget, guys.
That's how
But
you
yeah.
know which country we're in. Is the
That's
shield.
really it.
That is it.
That's the send off.
That is the send-off. Thank you very much for watching. We will be back in a few weeks with hopefully more of an update in terms of the season, because it'll actually have started at that point.
Yes.
We might have a guest on if we can kind of find one. And something,
graphics or something.
maybe some more graphics we'll be adding. We might have some clips. I'll be honest with you. We might have some clips to get through. So stick around. We'll see you in a few weeks. Have a good one.